Now, hello and welcome to the next part of our life. The last time we finished the first step, aka the childhood phase. And I guess now we will transition into the teenager phase. So, yeah, let's just see how that is gonna happen now. I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms, Lizzie and Corva, as the five of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You liked to emerge in it, cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on a shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we are so dull. Let's get out more. He really... he didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out?
Duh.
'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear. There's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. You looked over at Corvette, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset though, just content. You're aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan.
Ugh.
Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Hmm. Hmm. Even child me was always planning on going home. Mom looked down at Lizzie with a sigh as she continued pleading. We'll help with dinner tomorrow. Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can do work now too. Lizzie made her case and stomped her foot into the ground. Well... Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that Lizzie was very close to victory.
Okay.
Alright. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside, understood? Yes, Mom. Carver dear, you're welcome to join us as well. Yeah. Carver gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet, a tines and trinkets, or maybe the playground, or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? I made my own plans. Lizzie had her own ideas of what she wanted to do, but what were you going to do? You glanced over to Corville, considering. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she rubbed her arms around herself.
Rude.
Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off to the direction your mothers had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots of plans I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. Meanwhile, Cover was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. Hmm. My heart would tell me follow Lizzie home. My head would tell me to stay with Cover. Cover gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return. Cool. He made a little gesture that you interpreted as follow me, and then started heading to the waves. Cover knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. I wonder what the significance is for choosing this. I guess it was neat. I mean, heck, just throwing some rocks around can be fun. Deciding to join Cover, you searched nearby for any rock or shells that you could throw too. Shells maybe not, but rocks. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked over at Carver, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Carver was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure you couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. I had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When do you get it off? Carver shrugged and didn't say anything. For a second you thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. A few weeks. For a child that is a long time, you know. I once had the pleasure of having such a cast on for like 1 week, and it was so itchy, it was unbelievable. You couldn't imagine being forced to wear a cast for that long. It would be torture. It is. Carver let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I didn't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. Cool, you're going to like it. Everyone's super nice. You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Carver shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his ears were wet. Ears? Yeah, ears. Eyes were wet.
I want to go home.
Yeah. You never had to move before, but you thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden, with new people, you would probably be dreading it too. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help. That's very cold, you know. I will probably just awkwardly sit there for like, I don't know, until I didn't cry anymore and not saying anything. Okay, I'll see you later? Carver gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right. Carver wanted to go back to his old home. The one that said waiting someplace far away from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. He settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. I'll be alright. Sometimes when you were sad about something, your mom said that to you. In the moment you thought it couldn't possibly be alright, 'cause Sir Stephalot lost his... Sir Stephalot? lost his arm, or you skinned your knee, or you couldn't possibly finish all your vegetables. But in the end they were always right. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around? The question was a little surprising. I mean, of course, where else would I go? Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Carver gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. It would be too cold by then. You smiled, so you know you were only kidding. Carver smiled, then looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I would feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. You spared a glance over at Carver and see the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something more puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can see it. You could remember a long time ago, when you had first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day. To listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids you'd never met before. Things changing is hard. I can. Carver gave you a dubious look and then a very slow nod. His eyes went a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though. I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring and everything will feel like it's supposed to again. You gave Carver a big smile. I hope so too. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Carver would be able to accept this place as his new home. You would definitely try to help, in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here that Carver probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had really gone by fast. You stood and dusted the sand off yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner, you should come. Carver looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately, okay. When you smiled, Carver returned one of his own.
Thanks.
You're welcome. It was nice. It was nice where you were back then. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer, you were being called forward. So the both of you ran towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. In between. Hmm. Well, I guess technically I didn't always have red hair. But we're gonna pretend that's the case. Hmm. Well, I guess I did get a scar on the leg in my teens. I thankfully never had braces. No, thank you. I am very, very grateful about that. I guess I'm done here then. Hmm. What do I want to do? I think I would rather let it stay on font for this step. I mean, step 4 is coming, and I think I'm more interested in putting love in step 4 than... Though I honestly... the difference between crush and love is sure something, I guess. Well, my relationship towards romantic love sure is probably a bit different than the norm. I don't really get many crushes, I must say. Well, assuming that we have continuously stayed neighbors with Corvo, then I would say I would stay direct. Well, let's try it relaxed. Yes. Customize Corvo. Choose to customize Corvo yourself or let his prior experiences determine it. Ah. Oh no, this is so evil. I'm actually really interested in how these experiences shape his appearance and personality. So I think I will just... yeah. I will just change neither and just see how it goes. Though I will probably be a bit sad if Corvus suddenly has an hairstyle I don't like at all. Though I will have to deal with it. That's how it is in real life as well. You can't just customize other people, you know? Okay, neither. August ended, September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cover felt about it. He was enrolled that year. There was like a sign Cover would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school he was alright, but he kept his distance from the other kids. From what you saw anyway. Whenever he could, Cover stuck to you like glue. Like, obviously, of course, he was gonna do that. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time, as long as it was together. That year, the divorce of Corvus' parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Corvus' dad got full custody. No, that's pretty sad. In a way, I guess full custody is a good thing, so it's not a confusing back and forth, but I hope Cover gets to see his mom sometimes. At first you worried that meant bad news. It had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cover would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Okay, so he gets to see his mom. That's good. Cover cried too, for different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cover and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He had said he didn't want to uproot Cover's life a second time. Yeah, that would have been very bad. Mr. Holden tried to get Cover to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cover. He seemed very confident that it was an effective strategy. Cover never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cover stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed. Still, you were worried about him. You could tell he wasn't completely happy. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal. Except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore, you were 13 years old. You weren't a kid anymore, you were entire 13 years old. Oh no. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere or replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cover's cast got taken off, of course. It would have been quite something if he had to wear it for several years. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink, plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cover's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cover's probably hold that spot again next time. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did on tests and other academic situations. Over the years, he began opening up more too. You saw him talking amicably with other kids or neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were a little Shiloh, well, he was gone. Where did he go? He and his mom moved back south because of her work. This 1 year after Cover came to Sunset Bird. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new. and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for that word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places to other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age. That's pretty reasonable. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek Suarez? I'm very sorry for butchering that. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cover's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work, if Derek had the time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed. In small and big ways. You had too. Not much, according to my changes. As time went by though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over, and summer vacation had come again. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were... I always sleep long. It was hot, but you still had the blanket up to your head to block out the sun. You didn't want it intruding on your lazy morning. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket you heard the door creak open. You're still sleeping? Wow. Get up. Morning. Morning. Now get up. I will come over there. So much for a lazy morning. Mom told me to tell you that your friend's at the door. He brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him, say thanks or whatever.
Come on.
So calm down already. Okay, fine. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. You rolled out of bed, stretching your arms up high and yawning. Time to get ready. You set yourself in front of the mirror in the far corner of your room. I did have a growth spurt rather early, but this is 13 we're talking about, right? Yeah. I already grew to my max size at 13, which is, at least for where I'm living, average height. Or below average actually a little bit. But I think overall, and this is in America, isn't it? I guess it's average height. In Germany it's a bit below average. Corvo was really tall. Derek was kind of short, and you were pretty much the exact height that someone would expect for a 13-year-old. All I was thinking about at 13 was, please don't grow anymore, or I'll be taller than my favorite characters, and I didn't want to be, so... So I was pretty satisfied with my current height. I didn't want to get any taller. And the curse became real. I didn't grow even a centimeter since then. It suited you well in your mind. When you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation, careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cover was up to, so this worked out in your favor. Your reflection grinned back at you. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. Second chance. At what? You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing through. Morning, Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face.
Thanks.
Good morning, Rina. Thank you for coming down. Ma's at the door with Corville. He can't stay over for today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? Oh boy. You nodded and made your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Mars was there making conversation. She must have heard you, because she looked over her shoulder.
Oh.
Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average, so you were a little in her eyes, despite being a typical size for your own age. I'm not gonna refuse a pat on the head. You stood by patiently and indulged your ma's wishes. She gave you 2 small taps on the crown of your head. You're the last one down today, you know that? Morning. That's all, you really are a sleepyhead right now. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cobble was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. A bit disheveled. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway, as his bushy hair covered part of his face. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much-talked-about gift. At first glance you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. Then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was careful cut fruit. Oh. It made a lot of sense that was actually from Cover's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showering. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be the neighborly, and Cover would always be roped into participating. Cover smiled at the sight of you. The sting of his goofy errand, he was clearly embarrassed to be unleashed. Hey, Rina. You smiled back. It was second nature to you. Cover had always been such a close friend ever since the 2 of you were kids. Hey, it's nice to see you. Yeah, you too. Your grin widened even more. Every time he came, your mood was brightened. It was already shaping up to be another long summer with plenty of time for the 2 of you to have fun together. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back in, so Harvey nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. And with that, the gift was accepted. It doesn't look bad. It's a fine haircut. I hope you and your family like this. It's a pretty good gift, I think so anyway. He smiled earnestly. Dad spent a lot of time picking out the best size and design. There were so many options to choose from. You are too cute sometimes. Okay, that's a bit much. My response would be nice. Mm, thanks. Doesn't seem enthusiastic enough, so thank you. Could you tell your dad we love the gift? Yeah. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you'd ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his antics. And you had since made up your mind on what your opinion was. How can you not like him? And kinda handsome to boot. No. That sounds kinda weird. Coming from a 13-year-old. He was funny. Sometimes that could be a good thing, and other times it was a bad thing. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are! You shared a confused look with Corve as both of you stepped through the open door onto the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. I haven't met Derek before, I don't know what he is like. But if he's someone I consider a friend, then I would be happy at the sight of him. Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever he showed up. He looks like... I want to give him a pat on the head, especially with that hair. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin.
Hey.
I'm not good at voicing boys. I don't have enough boy voices. I only have grandpa and young adult. No, not even young adult, more like shonen protagonist. Hey Guy and Paul. I was just at your house, Corville, but no one was there. You should have figured out you'd be at Raina's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just there? Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Corville, or the embarrassment was what he was actually laughing at. He's so baby. Derek is baby. Look at him. He's baby. Especially this facial expression. He's just baby. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more, then his eyes widened and he grasped. What's that? You followed his gaze, unsure. Then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kinda like a bouquet of flowers, but made out of fruit.
Nice.
Nice, can I have some? Maybe you can have some later. Derek grew more excited by your words, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Awesome! Then he nodded his head, as if to clear it. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for effect. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Copper was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Copper did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself, just walking. Did you talk to him?
Nope.
Nope. I came to report the sighting right away. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked. Slowly you looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Corville. When you first got here, anyway. It kinda does, doesn't it? That's weird. He sounded almost fond, a smile playing on his lips. Derek snickered good-naturally. I can see that as well, now that you say so. But what you say? Let's go find Cover's lookalike. We should all meet him.
Sure.
I'll do it. Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned, then he pointed down the street, the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going in this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off, with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio you made your way down to the shore and to the old playground. You walked to the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He shuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true, he seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad, like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and his crunched-up expression, he came off angry. You started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'd be better if you left him alone and let him sort himself out. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. Hey, over here! Bowl head. Bowl cut head. The kid whipped around, an oppressive scowl craving deeper into his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong hostile energy still radiated from him.
What?
What? What is it? What do you want? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. What? Was that it?
No.
No, I'm Derek. That's Rina and Cover. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so you know, it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid, of course, I knew it. What?
My parents.
My parents, they're the one who brought me here. I didn't walk to this town. Can't you not figure that out on your own? Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Bar too. When he has to come for work and all that stuff, it's not bad. That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. He was struggled to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation, it's a waste of time, sure. My parents' family is nearby, we just had to come see them. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too?
I guess.
That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No. Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff. He turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they cared so much and left me home, but I'm not allowed to be myself. Makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid. Who peed in your cereal this morning? It's that's a very good response, but it's not gonna help anything in this case. Two options just here. Either I keep quiet or I say sorry, I must suck being forced to do something you don't want. Though I honestly must say, in this company with Kova and Derek, they both don't seem to be very good at handling this sort of thing. So I would step up. As if this does anything. You turned Koval, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have good hearing though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed.
Stupid.
Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. He has a point. Carver's cheek flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger, maybe both. Come on. How can you say that when you've got the bowl cut? The temptation is real, but I shouldn't choose this one. It's I wouldn't actually say that to someone. You would need to go a step farther for me to do that. Carver smiled weakly. Especially because of how ridiculous they look, maybe. Yeah, that's worth shaking your head. It was politically clear no words would penetrate Jeremy's armor of rage. But you still couldn't hold back your displeasure for his behavior. What's wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice.
What is wrong with you?
This is dumb. Jeremy stuck out his tongue and scolded away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over until he became a speck of your vision. Good riddance. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer. Ugh. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping into the ground. You followed, and Carver did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
This sucks.
This sucks. I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out maybe. He shook his head. After a moment he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But you know what would really improve the day? What? He didn't respond. Instead he used the hand to point. Right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. You were still holding it! You had completely forgotten about it during the mini-drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. Glancing over to Corvo, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too. I mean, why not? Derek perked up immediately at your words. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away.
Are you sure?
You nodded. With an eager grin, he plucked out a prime row of fruits. Corvo grabbed one for himself after him. Only you were without a skewer of your own. Pineapple's okay, but it's not that. Strawberry. The strawberry was bright red and beckoning you. It was the obvious first choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically, finishing it within moments. This is amazing.
It's nice.
It tastes pretty nice. And this fruit kebab thing is fun. Hey you two, remember the land before time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all liked the leaves that were shaped like stars. Tree stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, chomping leaves looked so delicious when they did it. And there was that scene with the pretty trees and all the dinosaurs. Those dinosaurs came and picked everything from them till there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. I did like the movie. Me too. The three of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually, the display was barren. It looked weird when devoid of fruit. Eating fruit does make everything better. Derek was right. It was so good you were already brightening up from the earlier drama. Hey, Rina? Yeah? The two of your eyes met casually. Thanks what you said back then. It's nice not everyone thinks like that guy. Oh, that's okay. He was just being a jerk. Derek chimed in strongly. Don't listen to it, Cover. He's the problem. People shouldn't say those kinds of things. Yeah. Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content sigh. So, are you both ready for the summer break? Absolutely. I mean, what are you supposed to plan on summer vacation? You just sleep in, do whatever the hell you want, go to bed again. That's what vacation is to me. Don't need no plans for that. If you have plans, then it's not a vacation. Cool on you. Wish I could say the same. It feels like there's a lot to plan for. And what about you, Cover? Are you ready? Yes. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Ooh. Time to get chewed out by for eating all the fruit. Hey, Rina! You glanced over your shoulders to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cover ran off with the thing Mr. Holden brought for us. She leered over you with arms folded. So, where is it? Well, it's gone. What do you mean gone? She moved over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your hands, which was now completely populated exclusively with skewers dripping in juice and tiny flakes of leftover fruit pieces. Her mouth dropped open and the tone of her voice rose.
What?
Seriously, Rina, what were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. She glanced at Culver, who sat beside you, and continued mockingly. Even if you did have an in with the delivery boy, this was up to Mr. Holden. Culver gave you a bent smile of support, which didn't help disprove her accusation. Well, the morning's been kind of a disaster. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes, not at all placated. Oh no, I think I had a mean kid coming back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around. What kid? I don't see anyone. Derek didn't bother explaining, he just launched to his feet and ran off. Carver hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation. He followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You returned to Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. Better ran. Without a word, you two got up to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day. Yeah. Oh well. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. You had gotten a bit of a scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment for it. Instead, while you were out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared, even by your parents, when everyone got back and the event was settled. That was a while ago now. Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited, your gaze strained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from a cousin Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back though, they moved and were closer to you than ever before. Now you hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's gonna come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth too. But now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to just be you and Lee who spent time together. Well, I definitely had more female friends than male friends. So, even though you weren't a girl, you befriended them pretty well. Didn't have many non-girlfriends. It seemed it was just the type of person you associated with most at school. Then the shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Doing it formally. Mount Residence, Rina speaking. You are greeted by a distorted, high-pitched giggle. Why do you sound so weird? Mom answers the phone like that sometimes. It's supposed to be polite. You should go with hi. That was something a robot would say. There was static on the end, as if Lee was shifting wherever she was. So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought it would never be done. No, we don't have to do any of that boring stuff, and we get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out... Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room. Oh yeah. You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Your mom set a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in process, which was why you'd been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. I mean, it made sense. Otherwise the batteries could run out. It was nice to keep everything in its proper place. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom to talk to Elle. You made your way up the stairs smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. Alright, I'm here. Cool, hey, did you know the girl down the streets from me has her own phone now, a cell phone? She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Wow, really? Ah, yes. Back then. The thought of someone having a phone like that all on their own seemed unbelievable to you. Right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they would change their mind. We could all call each other every single day and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? And expensive. For that time, probably. Too bad that's so far away. I know. I could probably get my own phone without them if I was that old. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over, and you would have to choose whenever or not to go to a college. School was such a big part of your life right now. This is middle school, right? Sorry to say, but in middle school I was the kid who never studied for anything, but got average to very good grades, so most everything came easily. You soaked up information as naturally as a sponge absorbs water. You had yet to worry about school being hard for you. It's more like I was worried they would get worse, but I didn't exactly put an effort in to make them better. I guess this? Your future depended on it. Yeah. You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had already decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be fooled. You sound spacey, what's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it because it's summer? That's what I'm doing. It's too scary not to think about it. No matter how much you wanted to enjoy your free time, the creeping dread of knowing that it would come to an end was always there beside you. I get what you mean. Though I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You can just do more when school's out. It's the easiest way to hang out with people. If I didn't go to school, I'd never meet anyone new. No one really comes here. Uh-huh. And sometimes, learning new things at school, I just wish everyone did okay with how they're taught the things, not just some people. And that was all. I did not like gym. It was alright, but it was not great. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken. Now I decree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about the summer first before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Ooh, tell me. I'm gonna visit my cousins. You chuckled. Of course. What's something you wanna do, the first thing that comes to your head? Well, catch up on movies and TV. I guess that's the way of saying watching anime until I drop. Because that's how I spent my vacations back in middle school. I need to do that too. You leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her, and you would be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day. You sat up straighter. I was with Corva and Derek today, and we met a new kid. Like, at your neighborhood? His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? Mean. He kept snapping when all we were just trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. But especially Corva, it was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Who are you talking to? Corva and Derek are always around. They're both boys, you know? Hmm. I mean, that's true. Lee laughed at your affirmation, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room. Heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister, she flung the door open, a frown etched on her face.
Come on.
How long are you going to hog the phone? Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one lodged on her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up. Lee, I have to go now.
Bye.
Okay, see you soon. Tell Elizabeth and your moms I said hi too. You barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked away the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your mom's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left in the wake. There was one way to end your first day of summer break. And I think we're gonna stop the episode for today until it gets any longer. So, next time we will continue this prologue to step 2. So until then, bye!